Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Immersive Engineering. Today we're going to be covering the brand new Capacitor Backpack, among a whole bunch of other changes with the new update to Minecraft 1.11.2. It's really good. So, welcome back to my laboratory that I have a lot of Immersive Engineering stuff set up here. But what I'm going to be doing is covering a lot of the update material first, and then we're going to do the Capacitor Backpack, which is brand new to Immersive Engineering, at the end. But there's a whole bunch of other new stuff as well. I just don't want the rest of it to get missed with the overshadowing of the new Capacitor Backpack. So let's start off with some simple stuff. Blast bricks and coke bricks. You remember making these early on in the mod? If you haven't already, you should now. And the recipe is much better. You get 3 blast bricks from 1 recipe now, which means that you just need to craft the 9 sets of these, and you get an equal amount to the actual multi-block structure, which is 27 blocks, instead of having excess and having to make a lot more. So the recipes are a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier to get into Immersive Engineering now with the blast bricks and coke bricks being less expensive. The next one that I'm going to mention involves the mining drill. And as you see here, I have mine fully upgraded, and it's got this really cool skin on it and everything. And it functions very similarly to how it did before, but you'll have to excuse me when I say that it's very different in things now. So it has a much improved durability as well as damage and so on. Just to give you an idea here, actually, I'll do damage last. We're going to go down into the underground here. Let me get to the bottom. I'll be right back. And here we are at the very bottom. For those that have watched my video before covering the mining drill, some updates have changed that have made it so much better than it was before. So if I go into my mapping program that I have on here, the mapping mod called Journey Map, I can show you a little bit of a zoom in of what the progress is on here. Now you see here this thinner line here that is not quite as long, and then there's this other one that is much longer than the other. Well, if you add in a few extra chunks here, because this shorter line, I also dug the stairway, which is about 2.5 chunks worth. That represents the durability of the old mining drill steel head that is on the mining drill. Nowadays, if I go down here, just to show you, I'm gonna zoom through this tunnel just to show you how long all this lasts. This is ridiculously long. This is just me drilling in a straight line and running into the occasional block. If there was something poking out, I didn't bother digging all that out. Let's see if I can actually dodge around some of this stuff. But you see how long this is. This is all just how much I got out of 1 fuel tank. The durability on the mining drill, it only used up about 1,000 of the 10,000 that's on there for a steel head, as well as it being upgraded with augers and other items. I'll show you that in just a moment once I get back to the workbench. All right, here we are back at the workbench. If I open this up, plop my mining drill in here, you'll see that the advanced lubrication system will reduce the damage of the mining drills that it sustains, and it will also kind of speed things up a bit as well. Now you've got your additional augers. Oh, actually I was incorrect. It's the augers that does the attack damage, digging speed, and stacks up to 3 times. Plus, of course, I put the large tank in there instead of the one that allows me to mine underwater, because I was just mining regular stuff. But I mean, it's really good for combat. I mean, it was before, but to give you an idea, here's a non-enchanted diamond sword, doing 3.5, right? 3.5. If I use a maximum sharpness 5 diamond sword, it's doing 5. Pretty good. Well, let's use my mining drill here. 5.5. It is better than a sharpness 5 sword. Now, it's not going to have a swiping function that a sword would, but here, even if I use a diamond axe, that's 4.5. I mean, come on, it's good stuff here. You 5.5 for this thing, and it's just so good, so good. There's no reason why you shouldn't have a mining drill now. You just need to carry a little bit of extra fuel with you if you want to drill that much more stuff. I mean, you saw how far of a tunnel that was. That was ridiculous, and that was just for the fuel. The head is going to last you forever and a day, and you can still repair the head or replace it if you want. Oh, and I just destroyed my setup. Now, before I move on to anything a bit more damaging, let's go into a little bit more of the updates. We've got a little switch out here of some of the other things, like the old school Kinetic Dynamo, the thing that you would attach your water wheels or your windmills to, is now currently looking a lot easier to understand. Allow me to, whoops, here, just kind of build a little bit here. You can see here the information about this now. It's the copper colors have been a little bit more faded, but that's not the important part. The important part is you now know where to put your rotational energy. You obviously don't put it on the smooth side, you put it on the side with the big hole, and you can put your water wheel in here. And the texture on the water wheels have been improved, so it's got these nice little engravings on them now, which I'll show those off shortly. We also have our regular windmills, which will start spinning here, and you upgrade it one bit at a time. So I made some windmill sails. This is your tier 1 windmill. You now just click on the center and it will replace the blades one bit at a time. You could even do this just for a little bit more and upgrade its ability to create more IF. Now, isn't that just wonderful? It's absolutely beautiful. Sorry, I'm really happy with it. The changes on this, the windmills are excellent, and they are no longer affected by height. You can have them at any level. But if you have things that are in the way, I mean, in this case, I'm putting a bit of leaves. It's going to stop and break. So there are limitations. Even water will stop it. So you won't want to do that. And it's the same as before, where if you try stacking them, like another Kinetic Dynamo and another windmill, it's actually going to, once this one catches up to it, it's going to start slowing and producing, there you go, producing less RF. So you're not going to want to stack them in front of each other in an attempt to make a lot of RF. It's more for the immersion, but you can get a decent amount of RF out of this. I have to say it's a really nice improvement. And here you go, you can see the water wheel currently in action. It is just really nice with the new textures. Everything's looking really pretty. Everything functions a lot better than it used to as well. I mean, there's been a lot of improvements, fixes going all around. It's really, really nice. All right, back at the workshop, and one more thing that I want to show you before I get into the capacitor backpack, and that's going to be the chemical thrower. It hasn't changed, but it has new spreadable stuff. Now, in the past, I don't know if I even mentioned this before, but let me switch my game mode here, and you can see here I have liquid concrete in a metal barrel. Before, if you use liquid concrete on enemies, or targets, I should say, they would get an effect called cement shoes, which would pretty much paralyze them in place, if not give them an extreme slow factor, and they would therefore, well, just kind of stop, and you would be able to just kill them. Now, they might be able to escape that once you start hitting them, but it's really, really nice. Now, this is actually a wonderful thing. You can store up to 4,000 or 4 buckets worth of something in here. And I have liquid concrete. This has also been upgraded, so just so you can see, it's got the large tank and a focus nozzle, so I can shoot further with it. Now, the idea is that if you've played the latest game, Prey, it's a similarity to that, where you can create things with like a glue gun type effect. Just to show you here, I create these little quick dry concrete areas, which are fantastic. I mean, you can try breaking them with your hand and they just break into nothingness. Even if you use a pick or something like that, they'll just disappear. But if you use the chemical thrower on an enemy, let me grab some pigmen zombies here. You can actually use the chemical thrower on these guys and hold them in place. It doesn't do any damage, so they are not attacking me, but you can see concrete feet. They're pretty much stuck there until you knock them out of that block. So, but you can also then shoot them. But see, he got knocked out of the block, and therefore is freed of the condition if you do so. But you can also use this as a quick and easy way of making a barrier, though you can't stack on top of them or on the side of them. You have to actually hit something else. So it's not going to allow you to just kind of pillar up this giant mass of quick dry concrete. But it is really entertaining nonetheless. You can actually create an entire area with this. It creates some difficult terrain for people. And I just use the shorter nozzles so that I would have something to reference. Or better yet, to be able to actually hit these guys at a farther distance. You can see I'm just barely clicking. I'm not even in creative right now. I'm just barely clicking, and this stuff is just disappearing. All right, and now for what you guys have probably been waiting for. Not to say that that stuff before wasn't totally amazing. I mean, there is plenty that I am not mentioning in this. That's just a lot of little bug fixes. But that is the Capacitor Backpack. Here, let me take this here and show you. That's right, it works with armor. So the recipe for this is some leather, an LV capacitor, 2 LV wire coils, and an LV wire connector by default. Now, you'd think, well, how much can it store? The same amount as an LV capacitor, which is one of the ingredients for it, which is 100 kilo-IF, which is the equivalent to 100,000 IF or RF or whatever you want to call it. And you can take anything like some regular vanilla chest plate or even some other mods should work with it. You put it on and it will render on your back, as you see there. Now you want it back, you just put it in a crafting grid and it gives it back to you. And you can see I will now have nothing on my back. So it's really, really easy to work with. Now, if there's something that has a really big, like special rendering for the armor, it might not work with it, but in most cases it should. And at the very least, you should be able to use it with vanilla. The Faraday, as well as a few other mods should be available. Now that the armor is out of the way, let's cover something a little bit different and go with some of the information about how it works. It will, of course, as I said before, store up to 100,000 IF. Something of note is that the gauge on the back actually works. I've only got about 3,400 or 34,000 left in there. So as I've been using it, it's been going down. So that's really cool. Otherwise, you can just go into your inventory, hover over it, and it should tell you what your capacitor backpack has left in it. Otherwise, you can just hit F5 by default in most Minecraft situations and look at your back for the gauge to be more immersive. But it works really well with powered weapons and tools. It should automatically power them. Now, a railgun has been demoted in power. At best, without the backpack here, you see it's got 1600 flux, right? Well, let's shoot over here and shoot again. There we go. I was actually shooting a bit off there, but that's it. You only get 2 shots. There's nothing left. So the railgun is really no good unless you have yourself a capacitor backpack, in which case you can just keep on shooting away. You know, just launch, just keep shooting at this guy here. And yeah, it's really good. Just make sure you hold your button down long enough that it's fully charged before you let go. And it can do some really good work. Now, of course, there are going to be some changes to that further. And that's, you may think, well, it's been reduced to 2. Now I can shoot as often as I want as long as I have ammunition, but it also does more damage. That's right, it's been buffed so that it can be more, respectable to more vanilla styles. Let me switch my game mode here and run over here, and I will get close enough that you guys can see what's going on. Of course, you know, you've got your, like, half a heart that I do by punching. You've got your diamond axe doing 4.5, diamond sword 3.5, fully enchanted diamond sword 5, and if I use a railgun with steel rods. Now, of course, I can also get iron rods as well. Let me grab a stack of those. We'll do iron rods first because they're probably the most common. 7.5. Now you put your iron in a a blast furnace and turn it into steel. Then you use that steel. You can make yourself steel rods, which is going to be even more damaging, which is already better than a lot of heavily enchanted stuff. I mean, come on, and it's in. Let me use a bow, a regular bow, not enchanted. And you know that there's a random factor to this, so if I shoot, there's going to be like 3.5 to 4.5, maybe as high as 5 or something. Now, if I use a fully enchanted bow, power 5, then I shoot at this thing, and you know that it's going to range between around 9 and as high as like 11.5, maybe 12. So if I'm using a railgun, you're going to get a standard 9 with steel. Now, if I use graphite electrodes, it's going to be 12 by default. And this means that you have a much greater range. You also don't need to worry about drop-off so much. So let's zoom all the way in on this guy. Just a little bit of drop-off. There you go. 12. Of course, there's that little rendering glitch from zooming in, but there you go. 12. I mean, come on. And of course, you can only store 16 graphite electrodes per stack. but if you really want, steel rods are probably going to be the cheapest. But if you really want something for that special occasion, like killing the Ender Dragon or something, I was shooting way too high, because let's actually shift. And you can see there is some variance on where these still launch, but I mean, if you compare it to a bow, let's aim way up here. There you go, 9.5, 9.7. So you can see that there's a major drop off on this stuff, and even the steel at this kind of range, steel rods, are really going to be impressive nonetheless. So let's just... I mean, I'm aiming at the guy instead of aiming somewhere up here and waiting for the arcing to come down. Not to bash on, you know, vanilla bows and arrows and stuff, but I mean, heck, and look at the rendering on this. If you have an item, a weapon, tool, whatever, it's going to have a little cable that pops over to it to connect to it as well, to show that it's being powered by your Capacitor Backpack. So I hope you guys enjoyed this bit by bit on Immersive Engineering, Capacitor Backpack, as well as all these new updates to 1.11.2. I'm so excited that they're able to get this implemented. They're still ironing out some of the last bugs and everything, and moving on to 1.12 soon. So I look forward to that as well. Don't forget to give a like if you guys enjoyed this video, comment below, subscribe as always, and spread the mischief to others if you think they'll enjoy this content as well. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.